let's begin our session with a prayer. So animation, medyo transition to a fade, apply to all. There. Okay. Right. So the assessment questions in your pre-board, okay, starts in item number 21 up until 115. So we have 30 items. Okay, so basically we won't be having any more additional questions because we allocated our nightly final coaching session or cut session for 30 items. No good for 30 items. So let's begin. Okay, item 121. Let me read. There are several types of validity for tests, which tries to determine test score performance in the future. A, curricular validity. B, all right, criterion validity. C, content validity. Or D, predictive validity. So Laika, Rachel answered letter D. Jason, okay. Dash, Lena, Kristen, John, Edward, May Ann, Nisi, Ella, Jacka. Okay, so basically, almost all who responded answered letter D. And is it the correct answer? Let's reveal. Ayan. So you are right. No? The correct answer is letter D, predictive validity. Now, this question might, a little bit easy because there are already obvious clues in the question or stem. Now, you can see here in the question or the stem, you can see your performance in the future. So a test in which the score of that test will determine the performance in the future. So basically, you would have predictive validity. So it's very easy. But then this is how we actually differentiate. Hindi kasi natin alam no baka sa time ninyo sa board exam ninyo baka hindi na lalabas tong predictive validity, iba na naman yung question baka yung sagot content validity, criterion validity, curricular so let's get to review again. All right, the types of validity. Okay, so I lifted this from my original from my PowerPoint in the regular lecture. Okay, so we have here validity versus reliability. And the difference is when you say validity, you are checking whether, when it comes to tests or assessment, you are checking whether the questions, the test items are really measuring what it intends to measure. So basically the appropriateness, meaningfulness, usefulness of the test. Okay, reliability on the other hand, is the extent. So it's a property of the test or characteristic of the test wherein kahit paulit-ulit mong ibigay ito sa estudyante, same pa rin yung magiging result ng mga bata, yung score ng mga bata. So magkakaroon ng parang consistency. The test shows the same result on repeated trials. The consistency or trustworthiness of the test result. So it's good if valid yung test at saka reliable din. Alright? So ganun talaga yung dapat nating ma-achieve when we develop test or questionnaire. Now, kasi yung tanong focuses on or pertains to validity. So let's focus on that. Now, there are 3 major types of validity, and under each major type, there are subtypes, right? So you have here content validity, which was mentioned, criterion validity was also mentioned, and then finally the construct validity, but not mentioned in the test. All right? And then, so what is content validity? Okay, so by the term itself, content, we actually look at whether the measurement or the test covers the range of behaviors, thoughts, and feelings that define the concept of nature. Basically, whether the content of the test items are really aligned to the topics or coverage, all right, test coverage, so all the test items kasi magiging invalid yan. Halimbawa, ang exam ni teacher ay no limitang here kabanata 1 hanggang 15, pero yung lumabas ng mga test items ay mga kabanata 18, mga ganyan, so lampas na sa coverage, so magiging invalid na si test, parang ganyan, content validity yan. So there are 2 subtypes. You have phase validity and curricular validity. So phase validity is the extent to which the measurement appears on its face to measure the construct of interest. So this is sometimes authorities or experts would not really consider this as a legitimate type of validity, but others also would say it's legitimate type because face validity is just a quick look whether your test items are really valid, no, on its face. Basically, what the teacher would do, no, in a classroom setting, halimbawa, the topic is multiplication, and then the test that you're having is problem solving, no, simple multiplication, no? So like, you know, the multiplication 3 times 4, 5 times 8, mga ganyan lang, no? So parang yung parang drill, no? Multiplication drill, flash drill. And the teacher, if he applies face validity, he will simply look at all items and see if all items are really multiplication. If there's one item that is division or an addition or subtraction, therefore, no, that is not valid on its face. No, oy, ito, ano to, no? Odd man, no? Kumbaga, naiiba, alin na naiiba. No, so, in Bisaya, si Mang, no? So different, no? Hindi siya naayon sa what was originally intended to be. So that is face validity. When you say curricular validity, it is the extent to which the content of the test matches the objectives. This time, it's a deeper level of face validity. When you say curricular validity, this time you are already planning out your test. If you have tried doing table of specifications, diba, when we develop, especially for major exam like quarterly exam, quarterly test, or periodical test, we prepare also a table of specification like test 1, identification. These are the topics, and then what knowledge level is it? Comprehension, understanding, ganyan, application, ganyan. Diba? Tapos you identify, no, anong item ang nag-fall dito. So that is table of specification, looking at the coverage, no, the objectives of your subject, no, and then also looking at the distribution in terms of the Bloom's taxonomy. No? So basically, you call that curricular validity, no, whether it's valid, whether it is really aligned to the curriculum. Okay, so I hope that's simple and clear. Criterion validity, on the other hand, from the word criteria, the extent to which the people's scores are correlated with other variables or constructs, no, that reflect the same construct. There are two types: predictive and concurrent. Okay. Now, ito yung predictive also lumabas din, no? Predictive tapos concurrent. Predictive was our answer key. Yung concurrent parang hindi ata na-mention. But nevertheless, ano ba yung predictive? When the criterion is something that will happen or be assessed in the future. Now, a perfect example of predictive validity is yung mga pre-board. All right? Mga pre-board exams natin before we graduate, di ba, sa education, binibigyan tayo ng mga mock board exam test, ganyan, no? And if you have high score, right? If you have passing score, then you have higher chance actually of also passing the real board exam. Ganun din na sa MET review natin, no? In the review session, we give pre-board questions, no, series, battery of tests. And the higher your score is, it actually will tell us that you are it will tell your readiness, no, for the real board exam, no. So kung malaki yung score nyo during the pre-board, no, ibig sabihin malaki yung chance nyo na papasa din kayo sa actual board exam. You call that predictive. All right? So one test will predict your performance in the future assessment. Okay? I hope that's clear. May tanong po ba dyan? Okay. Klaro siguro, no? Okay. Concurrent tayo. So concurrent, when the criterion is something that is happening or being assessed at the same time as the construct of interest. So ang kaibahan lang ng predictive, compared to concurrent, is that yung predictive, future. Yung first test, halimbawa ngayon, the other test is in the future pa. No? So that present test will somehow predict what will happen in the future test or future exam. In the concurrent validity, at the same time po siya. So halimbawa, may ginagawa tayong bagong IQ exam, no? May sarili kayong version na IQ. So the REYES, halimbawa, REYES intelligence test. No? But when you apply concurrent validity, I will first use a standardized, already established, no, sikat na IQ test. Halimbawa, the Stanford Binet, no, intelligence test or IQ test. So I will, or Otis Lennon, no, ability test. So I will give it to my students, no, the standardized test. Then after, no, in the morning, in the afternoon, I will give my own self-made IQ test, no, the REYES or intelligence test. No? And then I'll try to see if medyo same-same lang yung scores ng mga bata. If same-same yung scores ng mga bata sa morning tsaka sa afternoon, ibig sabihin niyan, malaki yung correlation ng dalawang exam. Ibig sabihin niyan, same-same lang din, no? Valid yung REYES intelligence test kasi it is very comparable, it is very parallel to the standardized, all right, well-established test. Okay, so I hope that's clear, no? Okay, so again, going back to the question. Ayan po. Our answer for this one is predictive, no? Kasi this test will tell us your performance in the future tests. Okay? Next. Item 122. If a question is confusing and subject to misinterpretation, how will the problem be classified? A, inappropriate level of difficulty of items. B, unclear directions. C, ambiguity. Or D, test items inappropriate for outcomes being measured. Sige nga, ano po yung sagot niyo? All right, please chat. C, no, ambiguity daw, sabi ni Jennifer Taberno. All right, C, Kirsten, C, Gretchen, Jessica, Ella. Right, so, may nag-D rin, no? Okay, so majority answered D and very few answered C pala, no? And very few answered D. Now let's reveal the answer. Okay, very good, no? Christine, Cristobal, yes. It's ambiguity. Okay, so basically this is just a test of vocabulary, no? Because in the question, all right, in the STEM, makikita na po natin na may words na confusing, tapos subject to misinterpretation. Yun na actually yung clue natin, no? Now, just for your information, options A, B, C, and D are all common problems, no? When we develop tests, all right, or when we construct the exams. Ito yung mga common problems, but if we read the question, no? So at tinitingnan lang daw, anong klaseng problema ito kung yung test mo ay napaka-confusing, tapos yung mga items doon, it will lead to, you know, misinterpretation, ganun, no? Many interpretations and meanings, no? That is actually talking about ambiguity. Okay? So, kita natin dyan, no, the word confusing, subject to misinterpretation. So, according to Merriam-Webster, right? So, ambiguity, something that does not have a single clear meaning, something that's ambiguous, right? No? You should remove ambiguity from your essay. Ayan. So, ayan, no? So, if it's something confusing, something that you're, syempre, it's, ano ba yung answer yung previous number? Okay. So, yung previous number, 121, it's predictive validity. So, I think it's item D. No, option D. Ito naman, for 122, it's letter C, ambiguity. Okay po. 123. This standardized test reveals strengths and purposes of placement in order to formulate an appropriate instructional program. Letter C daw, sabi ni Dash Malu. Alright, Jason C. Okay. Glyza, Lena, John Edward, Cheryl, Sheila, si Maria Joy. Okay. So, you answered letter C. Tingnan natin. So, tama, no? The answer is letter C. Ano yung clue natin? Yung strengths. Okay? If there is mentioning of strengths and weaknesses, usually, no, it is pertaining to diagnostic exam. Okay? Kapag may mentioning of strengths, ganyan. Placement tests, okay, placement can also be sometimes be diagnostic, no? It depends, but usually kasi may iba't ibang ano din eh forms of placement tests, no? Placement, sometimes you diagnose, you want to see also saan ba ilalagay yung bata, sa science class or sa sa mga grupo ng mga matatalino or sa grupo ng mga hindi masyadong matatalino, no? Placement din niya, at the same time diagnostic. But sometimes placement is not used really as diagnostic. This is only for example, ano ba talagang kurso ang nababagay, no, para sa iyo. So placement din 'yan, no, sa pang ano ba siya, textbook ba siya, pang academic ba siya or pang sports, no, ganyan. It's also placement, no. So from the word placement, ilalagay mo siya, ipi-place mo yung tao sa isang career path or field or vocation or job. Right, so I hope that's clear. So from our regular review lecture, yes, NCAI is a placement. Yes, a placement po yan. So these are the types of tests. We have personality test, intelligence, aptitude, achievement, summative. So ito lang yung isa sa mga a few of the many types of tests na kinover natin during our regular review session. When you say test designed to assess personality, this personality test, for example, the 16 personality types test or the MBTI, Myers-Briggs test indicator. Then a test measuring mental ability, that's intelligence test or IQ test. No? A test designed for predicting the success, no? So aptitude test din yan, no? In a learning area or field, no? Like math aptitude test, engineering aptitude, accountancy aptitude test. No? Also known as prognostic test. Then you also have achievement tests, no? Given to students to determine what student has learned. No? This is especially useful for the government to see whether naging okay ba yung quality of learning ng mga bata, no, generally, no? Especially for the DepEd, no, kung kayo ay nasa DepEd, gusto niyo malaman kung naging quality ba yung formal schooling ng mga bata. So you give achievement test. Summative test is the kind of test that you give at the end of the instruction. All right. Diagnostic test, a test you administer to identify specific strengths and weaknesses. Ayan po, no? So yan po yung clue natin, yung strengths. There was mentioning of that. So kaya naging diagnostic test po yung sagot. Okay? Let's proceed to item 124. When students' performances are compared with one another and those students from other schools, which standardized test will be best fit? Okay? Competency test, subject exit test, achievement test, or diagnostic test. Okay? Ano po yung sagot dito? Letter C, sabi ni Ella. Alright. Liza, Jaren, Joy, May, and Jason. Okay. So, all of those who responded answered letter C. Bakit letter C? Tingnan po natin. Ayan po. So, achievement test. No? Bakit achievement test? Okay. Wala pa akong dito, additional PowerPoint. When you say achievement test, halimbawa, the National Achievement Test, di ba? So, kapag National Achievement Test, that is to, in fact, when you take National Achievement Test, bawat bata may parang score. Pero percentile rank ang ibibigay, hindi talaga yung raw score. Instead, percentile rank. So, halimbawa, 99, 98 percentile rank. And it only means that you are above 98% of those of everyone who took that test, no? Who took that test. Okay? Kapag 98 yung rating ninyo is 98 percentile rank. Okay? So basically that is already a clue that achievement test is used to compare student against other students or among each other or one another. And then students from other schools, no? Also a national achievement test. If you notice, magre-release din yung DepEd or Department of Education ng mga top performing schools, no? Best performing or poor, no, yung mga or mga poorly performing schools or nasa bottom, no? Di ba? May top, may bottom nito. I-release. That is for them to intervene, no? Kung makita nila itong isang maliit na school na nasa bundok, tapos isa sa mga bottom schools, poorly performing schools during the national achievement test. So pupuntahan nila at magbibigay sila ng mga ways to intervene. So, ganun yung mga achievement test. Achievement test is usually a way for the government to know whether there is quality of learning, right, achieved by the students in a particular batch or cohort. And then that is also to check which schools need help. Okay? So yan po yung achievement test. It's really more on for the benefit of the government. Okay? Or the education leaders. Next, 125. Teacher Camille makes her test easy for students to understand, easy to administer and score, and suitable to test conditions. What is being achieved? A, efficiency. B, usability. C, reliability. Or D, administrative. So Ella answered letter C. Madeline answered D. C. Geraldine C. Okay. C ang lahat ng sagot po ninyo. Okay. C. Oh, all right. So I guess medyo seafood ko. Okay. I guess medyo power of C lagi daw. So medyo D na daw. May mga nagdi-D na rin, no? All right, may isang A. Okay. So actually hindi po C yung sagot. Okay. So ano? Okay. Ayan. The correct answer is letter A, efficiency. Okay? Bakit? If you look at yung book Lorimar, no, Assessment of Student Learning, pati sa Rex bookstore na Assessment of Student Learning na book, meron silang input about properties of assessment methods. All right? And properties of assessment method include validity, reliability, fairness. No? Dapat yung assessment natin valid, reliable. When we give also, it's fair, and then it leads to positive consequences. There's also practicality, efficiency, and ethics. All right? And then I'd like you to focus on that one, put in the red box. No? Efficiency, practicality, and efficiency. Now, going back, again ha, ito yung slide na galing from our regular review session, no, yung lecture, no, or input. Okay? So what is practicality and efficiency all about as a property of assessment? Okay, ito yung mga considerations. One, teacher is familiar with how to administer the test, the method, and the exam. Okay? The time required, so it's clear, the construction, administration, interpretation of the instrument. Also, clearing direction of how the complexity of administration, it's all clear. Okay. There's ease of scoring, there's ease of interpretation, and the cost also is not expensive, not practical. No? So basically, these are manifestation. Ito yung mga na-mention dun sa test item. No? Ito yung mga nasa STEM. No? About ease of scoring, ease of interpretation, the administration. No? Now, administrability, all right, is just a subcomponent of efficiency. Okay? Going back. Now, bakit hindi administrability? Supposedly, if you are to eliminate obviously wrong answers there, so you can eliminate reliability. Okay? Kasi medyo malayo na siya. Okay? It doesn't talk about, you know, the whether there is consistent results. No? Usability, okay. Medyo malayo rin. So we're here efficiency and administrability. Only that the problem is, pwede sana siyang administrability. Kaya lang yung nasa STEM natin, hindi lang hanggang sa administration, administering test. Sabi din dito, suitable test conditions, ano pa ba? Students are able to understand, yung scoring din, easy. So, eto, lagpas na to sa pag-administer ng test or the administrability feature, no? Easy to administer. All right? So, basically, lahat nito, generally, yung umbrella ano niya, property or characteristic is known as efficiency. No? And efficiency is one of the properties of assessment. Thank you po sa clarification. Yes. You're welcome, Ninya Nay. Oh, ganda naman pa, no? Ninya Nay. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Are you learning? Right, kasabot na ko, sir. Okay, very good for no. And I also was surprised actually that almost all of you answered letter C, no? So that is one of the things that need to be clarified, no, in our head, especially that, no, we are board exam is almost near. Noted po, sir. Yes. Okay, very good, no? Felicia. 126. If teacher Roger uses a current events IQ test to find champions or to find ano ba, top students, no, who can identify people, places, and events, what learning outcome or objective may be achieved? A, knowledge or recall. B, perpetual abilities. C, application. Or D, responding. Okay. Everyone, all right, no? Majority answered letter A, knowledge or recall. Okay. Sige, let's see. Tama po ba? Very good. I would presume easy itong tanong na ito. No? Of course, kasi yung clue natin dyan is identifying people, place, events. So, who, what, where. Yung mga ganyan lang. And you remember the question who, what, where, when. These are simple recall, simple knowledge. No? Kapag mga why na how, ayan, higher level na po yan. No? Hindi lang yan simple knowledge recall. Higher level na kung sa Bloom's taxonomy pa. Okay? So, if you can recall Bloom's taxonomy, the basic level is knowledge or remembering facts, terms, no? So, look at that. Okay? And remember, no? In the question, there in the STEM, identifying, diba? There's the word identifying people, no? So, name, tapos who, when, where, what, no? Events, places. So, basically, this is pertaining to knowledge level under Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, so I hope that's crystal clear. All right, item 127. There are several approaches to reforming assessment outcomes. Which one is it among the following? A, apply sanctions on low-performing schools. B, focus on testing without investing the teacher's needs. C, use understanding as means of giving feedback on students' learning. D, compare results of performance of all schools. 126 po. Huh? 126, sorry. Answer 126. It's letter A po. Knowledge or recall. Okay. All right. So I think nakita niyo na yung answer. Letter C, no? Na-reveal ko. Sorry. Okay. So letter C. Now, eto, medyo, actually, parang hindi ko makita yung hindi ko masyadong hindi masyadong useful yung question or yung STEM in this ang ginawa, no, the best way na lang to kasi there are several approaches to reforming assessment outcomes. So medyo wala tayong masyadong nakukuhang clue, no, from the STEM. But then if you try to compare options among other options, okay? So halimbawa ito, no? Apply sanctions on low-performing schools. Makikita natin na medyo negative yung implications, no? Napaka old style, no? Traditional when we give sanctions, no? In the modern times, again, bawal na po yung mga sanction na yan, no? As much as possible, dapat positive lang. Negative yung implication, right? Si letter B, focus on testing without investing in the teacher's needs, no? Okay sana yung focus on testing, no, medyo okay lang, neutral lang siya, pero dito without investing hindi tinitingnan yung pangangailangan ng mga teacher, ng mga guro, diyan nagkakatalon. Dito tayo medyo nega. It has negative implication. Right? Letter C, use understanding as means of giving feedback on a student's learning. Medyo ambiguous in a way, but then all words here, how it was phrased, entails positive, no, implication. Okay, so we understand. Okay, maybe I don't know what understanding. No, understanding maybe the type of learner, no, or their performance, ganyan, their growth, no, as a way to give feedback. No, so pwede, it's a good practice. The last one, compare results of performance of all schools. Medyo din, no? May issue din po tong when we perform the results of all schools, no? Kasi parang it's like naging vindictive din, no? Inaano sa atin, kayo yung itong school yung pinakamatatag yung mga elite, ito naman yung medyo hindi masyadong performing, isa yung mga wale, no? So you're trying to discriminate, ano? So may negative implication. So even without looking the stem or the question in this test item, no? But comparing the options among themselves, makikita natin si C yung pinaka angat. Siya yung naiiba sa apat, no? Di ba? The odd man out strategy. Negative, negative, positive, negative. So our answer here is letter C, no? Yung may positive, no? Use understanding as means of giving feedback on students' learning. All right? So I hope that's clear po. Item 128. There are students who pursue teaching as a lifetime work and mission. What is a possible intrinsic motivational assessment for this? Now, please take note. In the original question that you receive, the word is extrinsic. Okay, the word is extrinsic. But then, looking at the option, it will not fit. Okay? So, please change that to intrinsic. Then I'll explain why. Okay, so again, if you have a printed copy of the pre-board exam, or of this exam, what do you call this? Correct that from the word extrinsic, correct that to intrinsic. Okay, Cheryl answered letter B, right? Yes. Okay, tama ba? Letter B, Rachel also answered B, Dwight also answered B. Okay, so the correct answer is letter B. All right, social service to upcoming generations. Now, bakit siya? Bakit si social service? Now, you have to understand, or you have to know or distinguish the difference between extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation. All right? When you say extrinsic motivation, it only means that you're motivated to do things because there are external rewards. No? You will obtain rewards coming from outside, no, from either from people, either like tangible like money, or even intangible like fame, no? That's extrinsic motivation. But when you say intrinsic motivation, wala kang tangible or intangible na mababalik sa inyo, walang reward na mababalik sa iyo, but masaya ka lang na gagawin siya, no? So that's intrinsic, like you're just happy doing this. You don't expect anything in return. All right. So if you notice, A, promise of higher rank and prestige, di ba? Prestige, rank, that is extrinsic, no? That is fame, no? That's intangible. It's an external reward, yet intangible, though, no? Fame. That is coming from the outside forces. Economic security, money po yan, no? It's financial. So it's extrinsic as well. Respected position in society. This is also extrinsic, right? You acquire a position or respect, parang fame din, no? You're respected. So all of these, the A, C, and D are all extrinsic, except letter B, service, no? Diba? When you serve, you don't expect anything. You don't expect that you will receive something, but you serve because you're happy doing it. There is intrinsic motivation. All right? Do you get me? Passion, yeah, no? Yeah, no, yung mga intrinsic yan. For the sake of passion, happiness in learning, no? Service, mga ganyan, love, joy, mga intrinsic motivation yan. That is kind of motivation coming from within. All right? But the rest here, prestige, security, position, these are napaka-extrinsic. Okay? So hope that's clear. Item 129. Determining the extent of achievement in terms of set objectives is a concern of this process of evaluation. All right? A, authentic. B, formative. C, criterion reference. Or D, norm reference. And John Edward answered C. Rachel answered C. Nisi, Madeline, Hannah. Right. So, all right. So, majority chose C. Okay, Criterion reference. Tama po ba? No? So, ano yung clue natin dito? The extent kung na-achieve ba ng mga bata yung set objectives, no? Yung targeted objectives. Okay? And the answer is Criterion reference. So, again, you have just a quick ano lang, no? This is coming from our PowerPoint. You have norm reference versus Criterion reference. When you say norm reference, you are comparing one student's performance against the rest of the other students' performance. When you say Criterion reference, you're simply comparing students' performance, one student, against pre-established criteria or level of performance. Alright, so yan po ang kebahan. No? So, parang ganito lang po, if you're comparing yung height to a ruler or meter stick, no, or height chart, you are doing criterion based. Pero if you're comparing your height against the heights of your classmates, that's normative. No? As simple as that. Okay. Item 130 po tayo. Of the following, which is the most immediately tangible or observable? A, valuing. B, characterization or character buildup. C, response. Or D, awareness or mind awakening. Sige nga, ano yung sagot natin? Letter C daw, response. Okay, bakit naman po? Letter C. Okay. Alright, wow. So majority answered C. Okay, now question. Ano po ba yung pinakamababang level under the taxonomy under affective domain? All right. Perceiving. All right. Yes, it's actually awareness. Okay? Awareness yung pinakamababa. But you are right. No, the correct answer is letter C, response. Bakit? All right, let me explain. So, eto, makikita din ito yung Bloom's Taxonomy on the affective domain. Makikita din natin dyan sa MET Lab Reviewer 2021. No? Nandun, mga page 450 something. Okay? So, andin doon. Pero oversimplified yun. No? Ito naman medyo, ano siya, more examples, no? Explained, longer version siya. So, ito yung affective domain, ito yung taxonomy. We start with receiving phenomenon, then respond to phenomena. And then you also have, ano pa ba? You also have valuing, right? Organization, and the last is characterization, internalizing values. Okay? Now, bakit responding yung sagot? Okay. Now, supposedly, ang tanong kasi is most immediately, all right. So supposedly, ang pinaka first step sa affective domain, halimbawa you're giving values education, ang pinaka first step is yung receiving, no, awareness. And ito yung mind awareness, all right? So you listen, willingness to hear, no? Select attention, no? So example dito po, listen to others with respect, listen, ganyan. So it's more on listening. Kaya lang, ang problema, ito sana yung immediate. Ang problema lang, when you say awareness, observable ba? No? Kasi yung tinatanong dito, what is the most immediately tangible or observable? Si mind awareness kasi, or si letter D, alright, or mind awakening, awareness, receiving. It's the most immediate, the only problem is hindi siya tangible or observable. So ano yung next immediate? Si responding, no, or si response or action, no, active participation, no, you react. Okay, so example, participate in class discussion, you give presentation. So eto, ang tanong, is it tangible and observable? Very much, no, kasi may action na, it already entails action. Unlike mind awareness, medyo it's mental, it's hidden in your head. Okay. But when you say response, action, so may behavior na, and nakikita yan, tangible yan, na nakikita, na observe. So, ang most immediately tangible and observable, basing on the level of Bloom's taxonomy in the affective domain, no, that will give us letter C, response, no, as the correct answer. Okay? So, I hope that's clear. No? So, and meron din yan si, again, no, si valuing, after niya ba, yung organization, then finally is the characterization. No? Okay. So much of that. Let's proceed. Okay. Item, clear po, sir. Oh, wow. Napaka, ano naman, no, appreciative din ninyo eh. Okay. This is the foundation of all cognitive objectives. Okay. A, knowledge. B, synthesis. C, application. Or D, analysis. Letter A, knowledge. All right. John Edward Christian, Carl Justin, no, CJ Torres, Clarice Era, Sharon Christian. All right. So the answer is, your answer is letter A. Let's see. Tama na naman po kayo. No? It's letter A, knowledge. No? Kung bakit knowledge? Oh, I think it's already self-explanatory, but if we just review, no, look this again. This is Bloom's taxonomy, but in the revised version, na kung saan naging ano siya, verbs. No? Remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, create. Now, this only means, remember, it's like a pyramid. No? It's hard for you to go to the upper levels in the pyramid if the bottom is not sufficient. No? Right? It's hard. For example, apply. Kung wala kang alam, anong i-apply natin? No? Halimbawa, applying formula of math formula, no? Applying a math formula or a physics formula. Di ba? So kung wala kang knowledge, hindi mo mare-recall, hindi mo mare-remember yung formula, ano pa yung i-apply natin? No? So basically, ito yung mga upper cognitive levels under Bloom's taxonomy are founded. It has the remembering or the recall or knowledge must be established first. No, facts. It's the foundation. Okay, the foundation of all cognitive objectives. It starts with facts. No, kasi kung wala kang facts, wala kang ma-evaluate, hindi ka makakreate into something, wala kang ma-analyze, wala kang ma-apply, you will not also understand. No? So it starts with facts first, and then it becomes more complex, no? As you move up in the hierarchy. Okay? So again, ito yung 1976 version, 1976 ba? 1956 pala. And then 2001, Lauren Anderson, okay, together with Bloom still, no, revised the original Bloom's taxonomy. So yung noun forms, naging verb forms na. And then the top two levels in the hierarchy, all right, are exchanged, switched, no? So evaluate is in the second, ano na, sa bago. So synthesis, which is now create, is on top. Okay. Item 132. When grading essay questions, this is the primary response factor being considered. A, factual information. B, wide sampling of ideas. C, originality. Or D, less time for construction and scoring. Ano po yung sagot niyo dito? Letter B daw. Letter B, letter C, letter D. Yes, B, C. BC. Oh, wow. Okay. So, I assume medyo confusing, medyo mababa yung confidence level natin for this item. Medyo unsure tayo, no? Kasi looking at your responses, no? Napaka-wide ng mga answers nila. May A, B, C, or D. No? Lahat na ata. Ano ba talaga yung final? No? Final sagot natin, no? Applicable ba si power of C? Applicable kaya yung pinakamahabang option? Okay. So the answer is letter C, no, originality. Bakit? Now, looking at ito yung source ko, no, by sa university, okay, BYU. Sabi Stalnaker, ito pala yun, no, yung original, yung person mismo. based on Stalnaker's definition an essay question, no, so mean to say, you only use essay question if you need this, no, if you require your students to compose rather than simply select their response. You want to elicit student responses, no? That must consist of more than one sentence. Right? It should allow different original responses and requires subjective judgment by a competent specialist to judge accuracy and quality. So basically, the word original responses there is our parang major basis kung bakit naging originality yung sagot natin dito. Okay, letter C, originality. Alright. Pero bakit hindi po pwedeng si A, B, or D? Kapag factual information ang hanap natin, remember class, when you ask for factual information, who, what, when, where, you do not use essay. No, kasi it can be answered, no, using multiple choice, identification or sentence completion, matching type. Di ba kasi factual lang naman, so short answer lang naman siya. If you want wide sampling of ideas, meaning to say you want wide coverage, no, wide across different topics, actually pinaka-best dyan would be multiple choice. Kasi sa multiple choice, almost all types of, levels of Bloom's taxonomy, cognitive levels, and almost all topics po pwede ma-convert into multiple choice. No? So, pang-objective test din yan. No? Unlike essay kasi na, although open-ended siya, no, po pwede siyang open-ended, pero isang specific topic lang. Hindi po pwedeng wide ideas, no, wide coverage or wide topic. Isang specific topic lang usually kapag essay. Now, less time for construction and scoring, hindi rin po pwede kasi essay is intended for more time when you construct. Di ba? Kailangan mo ng time to compose the essay. No? So, if your intention is quick construction, hindi po pwedeng essay. You go for sentence completion or close test, or also known as identification. Yung mga blanks lang. Yan, last time, for construction. Okay? So, A, B, and D would pertain to objective test. But letter C, originality, yan, may papakita yan using essay. Do you get me? Hello? Hep? Or hooray! Okay, so I hope that's clear. Yes. Dito tayo sa item 133. By asking students to answer recall queries or questions in an open class, teacher A. Lil used this method. Claro, sir. Wow. Thank you, Maria Leia. Okay. A. Oral questioning. B. Performance tests. C. Product rating scale. Or D. Observation self-report. All right. Jason answered letter A. Oh, okay. Actually, all of you chose letter A. I believe this is actually, for me, this is the easiest of all test item under assessment. Ito yung pinaka-easy. The answer correct is oral question. Kasi, tingnan nyo naman, no? You let the students answer knowledge questions in class. Okay, recall questions in class. No? So, pwede yan sa oral questioning now. Sino pumunta kay Jose Rizal? Sino pumunta kay Lapu-Lapu? Di ba? That's letting students answer mga knowledge-based questions or recall questions. Okay, so oral questioning. Hindi po pwedeng performance test kasi wala ka naman pinademonstrate. Hindi po pwedeng product rating kasi hindi naman gumagawa ng isang product yung mga bata. Hindi rin po pwedeng observation ng self-report kasi wala din namang performance or anything to observe or self-assess, no, or self-report. So, obviously, the one and only answer, no, it's not just the best answer, pero yan talaga yung medyo related, no, sa tanong would be letter A, oral questioning. Okay. 124. Student understands Student understands a principle if he can do this based on Makhtar, Wiggins, and Wiggins 6 facets of understanding. And I think the facets of understanding also became popular because of the understanding by design, right? And just for you to know, Sa Bloom's taxonomy, right? You start with knowledge or recall or remember, diba? Knowledge, also known as recall or remember, followed by understand or understanding, followed by apply or application, no? The analysis, analyze, evaluate, and create, right? Now, yung second level na yan, yung comprehension or understanding, ayan, na ginawang, ito yung focus ni Macta and Wiggins. Naggawa sila ng offshoot. No? So there are 6 facets of showing understanding. There's 6 facets of showing that comprehension or understanding. Now, among the option, all right, ang tama na, sabi ni Macta Wiggins, ang nagmamanifest ng understanding would be letter C. If the child or the student is able to apply or solve the problem, all right, therefore, nagkaroon siya ng understanding. There was some kind of understanding kasi he was able to apply. No, bakit hindi po pwedeng A, B, and D? All right? So let's analyze again the option. No? Let's look at the anatomy. Okay, but before that, ito pala yung 6 facets. All right? So understanding is also manifested when the child is able to explain. Okay? Understanding is also manifested when the child is able to interpret. Okay? Understanding is when the child is able to apply. Understanding is also when the child is able to share perspective or thoughts. Understanding is when the child feels, no, empathize, or understanding, being able to be aware deeply, no, with about himself, no, self-knowledge, parang metacognition din. All right? So that is by Macta Wiggins, 1998, Understanding by Design. Now, if we look at the anatomy of the options, okay, when you say simply stating, understanding a principle, stating lang, di ba? When you just state lang, it's simple, recall, or knowledge. Letter B, repeating it as given by the teacher. No, you're just repeat what the teacher said or what the teacher wrote. Simple, recall, or knowledge. And last, retaining it in memory, you simply memorize. Okay? Simple, recall, or knowledge. So basically, hindi siya umabot sa level ng understanding. Kung sa Bloom's taxonomy pa, hindi siya umabot sa comprehension or understand. And then, if you look at, all right, if you refer to Macta, Wiggins, and Wiggins, nasa third facet po yan, no, si understanding, specifically the application. No? So I hope that's very clear. Okay. 135. Pedro got a 60 percentile in class. This means he scored a 60% or 60 percentile rank. Okay, he scored better than 60% of the class. He scored less than 60% of the class. He got 40% of the test wrongly. He got 60% of the items correctly. Okay, now because there is, all right, majority answered A, some answered D. Okay, okay. Now you have to understand that the way it was written in the question, the word percentile, 60%, or the 60 percentile, it's a percentile. And remember, kapag percentile yan, ibig sabihin, it's rank. It's normative. Ranking Pedro against others. Okay, so percentile, stan 9, ano pa ba? Yung mga ganyan, these are one of the measures, no, relative position. Decile, quartile, yan. So actually, the answer is letter A. No, majority of you got the right answer. We scored better than 60% of the class. But if we go back to our regular lecture input, these are the types of measures relative to position. Okay, so it will indicate where a score is in relation to all other scores in the distribution of, or in of all to all other scores among students in the entire batch. They make it possible to compare the performance of an individual against other tests also. Okay, yeah. So percentile rank, standard scores, standard scores, and Z-scores. Actually, the standard scores or the standard scores, Z-scores, is more the purpose or objective there is more of comparing, being able to compare one test score against other test score in other subjects. No? But when you say percentile rank and stanai, this is more of comparing the performance of an individual in the distribution or against other students. Ranking po siya. Okay? Now, sabi dito, percentile rank, it indicates the percentage of scores that fall below a given score, often expressed as a number between 1 and 99 with 50. No, for example, P50, it means percentile rank is 50 or 50th percentile, being the median of a set of score. Kapag P50, it means nasa gitna siya, no, in the distribution. No. Sabi dito, no, halimbawa, kita natin yung graph, di ba? 20th percentile siya. Ayan, no? Kapag 20th percentile, ibig sabihin, 20% of the batch who took the test is here. So, below you. Pero, 80% of the batch who took the test are above you in terms of score, in terms of performance. Okay? Yan po ibig sabihin ng 20th percentile. So, mean to say, medyo nabilong ka dun sa not so bright, no? Dun sa mga mababa, no? Medyo mababa yung performance. Now, example dito. You found out that you score 127 out of 160 on a test. So you were happy, no? So masaya ka kasi out of 160 yung raw score, no, you got 127 correct answers. So, ilan na yung mistakes ninyo, no? So parang ano lang, 27. So maybe how much? 30 plus, no? On a test. Okay. So masaya ka, oh. Ilan? But you realize, 33, yes, 33. But you realize na yung 127 pala na raw score ay nasa 20th percentile. Ibig sabihin, matataas yung nakuha ng mga score ng the rest of the batch. 80% of the entire batch got higher than 127 score, no? Yung scores na 128 and above. Okay? No? That actually means, no? That actually means when you say 20th percentile or P20 is 127, meaning to say 80% of the entire batch got above 127 score. No? At ikaw naman, the 127 score that you got, you are above 20% of your batch. So, medyo hindi pala ganun kaganda yung resulta. No? Akala mo, okay sana, happy ka sa, pero ito, yung rank ko pala is ano lang, no? I'm just 20% above. No? So, ayan. Yan po ibig sabihin. So, basically, hindi po pwedeng sagot is letter D. Okay? Kung ang nakalagay sa question ay, he got a 60% correct. Oh, obvious na, no? For example, 60, he got a score of 60 out of 100 items. Ayan. You can say na he got 60% of the items correctly. So, magiging D yung sagot. Pero yung nasa item kasi, yung nasa STEM, question dito is percentile. There is your score or your rank is 60th percentile rank. Okay? So you scored better than 60% in the class. Okay? Get me? Hindi rin po pwedeng he scored less. No? Kasi kapag percentile rank, kung ano yung number doon, ibig sabihin, nasa on top ka of that, no? Hindi ka pwede below. Hindi rin pa pwedeng he got 40% of the test, ano? So hindi rin, no? Kasi it's just the opposite of D. Okay. Measures of relative position. Ay, sorry. Ayan, 136 pala tayo. Tama ba? Yes. 136. In what topic will paper and pen test be inappropriate or be applicable? A, sight reading in music. B, multiplication skills. C, subject-verb agreement. Or letter D, vocabulary. So, Hannah, Lena, all right, Angelita, Candy, John, Edward, Mayan, Janeline, Jason. All right, answered letter A. So, majority, I think all pick letter A. Okay, tama naman po. No? So, congratulations. The answer is letter A. Sight reading in music is not paper and pen. Cannot be. Why? Diba? Sight reading, yeah. This is sight reading, no? My nota, my notation, musical notation. Sight reading is in music is when you're able to perform or play the piano, for example, just by looking at the musical notation. Even without having prior or first time mong makita tong note na to, di ba? Ganyan naman yung mga virtuoso, yung mga magagaling sa music, yung mga genius, mga Schubert, mga ano pa, mga Beethoven, no? Kahit na um, hindi na na-practicean niya, pero kasi magaling na sa ganyan, no? Kahit mabigyan na sa ng piyesa, na-play agad nila. Or if you're a singer, no, nakakanta mo, hindi ka na out of tune, no? So ganyan yan, no? Sight reading is defined as the art of reading musical piece or performing that musical piece even without previous knowledge, previous rehearsal of the piece. All right? That is sight reading. And hindi po yan matitest using paper and pen test. No, kasi sight reading you can only test whether alam niya paano magbasa ng nota by performing. No, pakantayin mo yan, pa-play mo yan ng piano or guitar just by giving him a musical notation. Okay, a musical piece. Ayan, no? So ganyan po, no? So sight reading is performance only. Wala nang ibang test na applicable for this kind of activity or assessment, no? Performance lang talaga yung form niya of assessment. Whereas multiplication skills, subject-verb agreement, vocabulary meaning, pwedeng yang i-apply yung paper and pencil test, no? Or PAPET, no? You also call that PAPET, paper and pencil test. Okay? So I hope it's clear. Are you learning? Hep hep. Jorge, okay. Wow, si sino ba yun? Si Jenny ba yun? Okay. Right. Item 137. After item analysis, item number 24 was found to have a difficulty index of 0.98. Okay. What should be done? A, revise, B, retain, C, reject, or D, reserve it for another group. So C. Okay. Majority pick letter C. No, reject it. Bakit? Bakit letter C? Okay, let me explain. Right. So the correct answer is letter C. Tama po kayo. It's letter C. Kasi very easy. Yes, very good. Tumpak. So remember, in item analysis, there's what we call as difficulty index. There's also discrimination index. So it's a way to analyze items, whether, for your decision as a teacher, kung pwede pa ba siyang gamitin, pwede pa ba siyang i-retain, i-revise, or i-reject natin. Ganyan, no? So difficulty index and discrimination, item discrimination index indices, these two are important when we do item analysis. Okay? An item analysis must be done ideally especially for major exams like quarterly tests, no, quarterly assessment or periodical exam, or if it's in college, the prelim, midterm, and final exam. Okay, yan, required sana, no, dapat mga ganyan, no? Para sa next na year, next season, or next term, when you still teach the same subject, alam mo na kung saan yung items ang dapat tanggalin or dapat i-revise, no? Kasi medyo hindi siya valid kasi may mga issues in terms of difficulty and discrimination power. Okay? So, ito po yung formula when we compute the difficulty index, no, item difficulty. So depending on the given, no, kung anong ibibigay, no, sa STEM, no, kung or sa problem, kung nilahad nila yung the total number of students, so first formula will follow, no? So you just simply total the number of students who got the correct answer all over the total number of students who took the test or who answered that item. Ayan po. Makikita natin yung when we divide, no, the number of students who got the correct answer versus the total number of students, makikita natin yung difficulty index. Pero kung walang total number of students, ano lang, binigay lang is the upper group, number of students in the upper group, the number of students in the lower group, who choose the correct answer and who also chose the incorrect answer. No? So, ayan po. So you just simply look at the total. No? So you total those upper group who got the answer right and those in the lower group, no, top yung mga matatalino, bottom yung mga hindi masyadong matatalino. That's yung mga baba performance. Top and bottom, so you add those number of students na nakakuha ng tamang sagot all over the total number of students in both groups. So usually, mathematical and statistical speaking, usually they will get the upper 27% and the lower 27% of the class. So halimbawa, if you have 40 students, no? So i-compute niyo yan. Ilan ba yung 27% of 40 students? No? So basically, yan yung top doon. So, halimbawa, 7 yung sagot. No? So yung top 7, kung tingnan mo, tapos yung bottom 7, tingnan mo, yung ilan sa kanila yung nakakuha ng tama at maling sagot. No? Pero yung tamang sagot lang ang ating ito total. Tapos all over 14, no? Halimbawa, 7, 7. Okay, divided by 14. At makukuha natin yung item difficulty index. Okay? Now, kapag lumabas yung resulta, usually, halimbawa, if lahat nakakuha, perfect yan. 1 yan, no? Very easy siya. Lahat nakakuha. Walang nakakuha, kapag 0 over, halimbawa 0 over 14, magiging 0 pa rin. So, very difficult sila. So, yung item na yun is very difficult. Okay? Now, kasi yung score ng, ano ba yan? Yung score ng difficulty index is 0.98. So, saan siya? Diyan. It only means very easy. And remember, rule of thumb is, kapag sobrang easy at sobrang difficult, we reject. No? Yan yung pinaka-quick decision reject. Pero kung sa tingin natin is, importante yung topic na yan, yes, we will reject it. Okay? So, yan yung rule of thumb. Okay? First decision reject. Pero, pwede rin i-revise na lang. Depending din on the situation. Kasi in real life, real classroom setting, sometimes you say, pero importante itong topic na to, hindi po pwedeng i-reject tong item na to kasi napaka-importante ng topic na ito. So, instead of rejecting it kasi hindi mo magawang ma-reject siya, so pwedeng you go sa second step, and that is to revise. Okay? But kasi we have to choose the best answer, no? So ano yung pinakaunang decision na dapat gawin? Is reject talaga kasi sobrang, imagine, close to perfect na siya, close to 100% of students obtains the right answer, no? Or chose the right answer. No? So reject talaga yung magiging decision natin. Do you get me? Okay? Minsan pa nga, if easy, no? Ang decision natin kapag nasa easy level, either we retain or we revise para magiging moderate siya. Okay? Same din sa difficult. Okay? Difficult. Kapag difficult siya, pwedeng retain or if you want to make it moderate, so you revise. Pero kapag very difficult, ang first decision talaga is reject din. Pero kung sa tingin nyo again, importante yung topic niya yan, so pwede na lang i-revise. So, dun na kayo, magre-revise tayo. Okay? So, paano kung doubling situation? No? Anong ibig sabihin ng double situation? Hindi siguro, no? Unless if may mga kung sa tanong sa board exam, halimbawa, example, you mean discrimination? Iba din yung result ng discrimination. Also, it's up to you, no? So, either you follow the decision from the discrimination result, no? Item discrimination, or you follow the decision from the difficulty index result. Okay? Now, next question. Yan pa bang mga critical na tanong? Pero kung may double situation discrimination and difficulty. Okay. Sige. Later, Wendell, makikita rin natin no, kung ano yung decision na if you have this value no, of discriminating index, okay, ano ba magiging decision? How will you decide? So meron din. So we'll see later, no? Okay, this is the best representation of test validity and reliability. A reliable test is a valid test. A test must be objective to be valid and reliable. A valid test is a reliable test. Test must be standardized to be valid. Okay, Sheria answered C, Dash answered A, Carl Justin C, Jason A. So, okay. So, hati pala kayo, no? Some answered A, others answered C. Now, the correct answer is actually letter C. Okay. A valid test is a reliable test. Okay. Bakit? I got this from, okay, statistics, how to. Okay. Overview of reliability and validity. So, sabi dito, okay, reliability and validity are used interchangeably. For research and testing, there are subtle differences. Reliability implies consistency. If you take the ACT, by the way, ano yung ACT? In United States, all right, students, high school graduates will have to take the ACT. ACT is American College Test. Yan. So, bago sila makakapasok sa college, no, kailangan niyang mag-take ng ACT. So, if you take ACT 5 times, you should roughly get the same results every time. Yan po ang ibig sabihin ng reliability. A test is valid if it measures what it's supposed to. No? Okay. So, sabi dito, ito na yung highlight. Tests that are valid are also reliable. The ACT is valid and reliable because it measures what a student learned in high school. However, tests that are reliable aren't always valid. For example, let's say your thermometer was a degree off. So defective yung thermometer ninyo. Kahit ilang ulit nyo pang i-apply yung thermometer sa katawan ninyo, tapos magiging same yung result. So, that's highly reliable. No? Napaka-reliable naman, consistent yung result. Pero kasi knowing na defective pala yung thermometer natin, that is not valid because your thermometer is not recording the correct temperature. Okay? Not all reliable tests are valid. Correct. Yan, no? So, pwedeng reliable siya pero hindi naman valid. No? Pero kapag valid siya, we always assume na no, kung valid na siya, okay, reliable na to. So, it's always that we prioritize validity over reliability. Dapat validity muna ang i-check natin. Kasi kapag hindi valid, there's no point checking the reliability. No? Kung defective pala yung thermometer, there's no point of using it. Do you get me? No? Kung defective yung thermometer, there's no point of using thermometer. So, ganun din yan. Kung hindi valid yung test, there's no point of checking the reliability of the test. Okay? So, a valid test is a reliable test. No? So, ito po, no? Tests that are valid are also reliable. Okay? But not all reliable tests are valid. Okay, so I hope that's clear. 139. This tool is used for grading open-ended questions. A, rubrics. B, outcomes. C, skills. D, outputs. Ano po yung sagutan? A, Jason, sabing Jason A. Rachel, Dash, Malu, Ella, Christian, Sharon. Okay, Janine, Madeline. Okay. A, rubric. Tama. Isa rin to sa pinaka-easy. Bakit? You're looking for a tool to grade or to score. No? Ano bang masuscore natin sa outcomes? No? It's not a tool to score. Scale po pwede pa. No? So, siguro, we retain scale. No? Output, ano pa? Ano ba yan? Is output a tool for you to grade or to score? No? So, hindi. So, if we need to eliminate right away some options, eliminate letter B, outcomes, and letter D, outputs. No, kasi they're not scoring tools or grading tools. The scale, medyo pwede ba? Pero sa education kasi, there's no such thing. Scale is one of the elements in a rubric or pwedeng rating scale, no? Element po siya, yung parang may 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, di ba? Likert scale po yan, no? Or sa mga rating scale, no, 1 to 10, mga ganyan, or rubrics. Now, so, rubrics, no, bakit rubrics? Kasi yung nasa question, grading, tapos open-ended questions. Ano, perfect for like mga essay. No? So, rubrics is a rating scale. It's a scoring tool, no, scoring guide, no, with descriptors. There are two types, holistic tsaka analytic. No? So pag holistic, overall lang, no? Overall process lang yung ano natin. Pero analytic, criteria or criterion per criterion. Okay? Now, ito yung elements ng rubric. May competence na tinitest, may parang performance or may product, tapos may criteria and indicators, may leveling din, no? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, beginner, 2, novice, 3, ganyan, 4, advanced. Tapos may descriptions, no? Quantitative and qualitative descriptions. So, yan po yung elements niya. So, medyo easy naman itong tanong na to, no? So, parang no challenge to. Char. Okay. 140 na po tayo, no? I think last 11 items. If a facility index of a test item is 0.50, the correct interpretation will be blank. A, it is reliable. B, it is moderate in difficulty. C, it is valid. Or D, it is very easy. Sige nga, ano yung sagot natin? D. Okay. D. Yes. All right. So I think majority chose B. Ito po yung sagot. Okay. Tama po kayo. The correct answer is letter B, moderate in difficulty. Now, question. Sir, ano po ba yung facility index? Mukhang bago po yan sa aming hearings, no? All right. Facility index is almost the same as difficulty index. Okay? Because when you say facility index, now percentage of correct, no? Percentage of correct answer. So this is how we, although may slight difference lang sa formula, pero sometimes also, no, in another reference, may formula din na exactly the same lang ng difficulty index. Yung number of students who got the correct answer divided by the total number of students. Okay? So, pwede rin, no? Facility index pa rin yan. No? Pero eto, in my example, sabi dito, facility index is the mean average or mean score obtained by all students who answered that item divided by the maximum score achievable for that item. Alright? So yan po yung facility index. So again, kasi parehas lang din siya sa difficulty index, we followed the same interpretation. Okay? And then, ano po yung number na binigay sa tanong? Di ba 0.50? If we go back, sabi dito, the facility index of a test item is 0.50. So, saan ba yung 0.50? Andyan po. Moderately difficult. So, tama po yung naging sagot natin. We chose moderately. Item is moderate in difficulty. Letter B. Okay? So, I hope that's clear. No, napaka-easy, napakadali lang po. Just remember that, no? So, how do we easily remember this, no? The interpretation. Easy lang, by 20 kasi ito. So, 20, 40, 50, 60, 100, 80. No, di ba? Tama ba? 0, 20, 40, 60, 80. Yes. 0, 20, 80, 40. 0, 20, 40, 60, 80. Very difficult, difficult, moderately difficult, easy, very easy. So, more or less yan po yung ating tatandaan. Very difficult, difficult, moderate, easy, very easy. Item 141. If we are using mode of answering as a point of reference, which does not belong to the test group? A, completion. B, essay. C, problem solving. D, matching. Okay. All right. Letter B, I can see majority answered B. Tama po ba na letter B? Okay, may nag-D din. No, matching type. Okay. The correct answer is letter D. No? So majority of you got also this item right. Bakit essay? Kasi po, ito, no, again, I lifted this from the PowerPoint. Okay. Classifications under written tests. So kita natin si written test, right? Written test is divided by, not divided, it's classified, no? It's classified further into objective and subjective, no? As objective and essay. Okay. Under objective, you have supply type of test, which can be either short answer items like identification or sentence completion type or the close test. Right? Yung mga fill in the blanks. No? Pero short answer items naman is identification. No? Okay. Ito naman, apart from supply, on the other hand, you have recognition type na i-recognize blank. They will give you the answers and some distractors na options. All you have to do is recognize saan ba yung tamang sagot. So you have true or false. Either the answer is true or false, no? Alternate choice, yes or no. Pwede ring matching type, no? Matching items, you just have to connect the dots. Or multiple choice, no? The correct answer is hidden among the items, the given choices. Ayan. Then you have the essay type. So there was mentioning of sentence completion. There was also mentioning of matching type. Now look, saan ba sila na-classify si sentence completion tsaka si matching type? They are classified under objective type of test. Essay type of test is the opposite of objective. No? Kasi subjective si essay type. No? Pero lahat sila written test po sila. Saan naman si problem solving? Usually si problem solving, objective din siya. Objective type of test. Pwede siyang short answer, no? Kung hindi kailangan ng solution. O pwede ring hindi siya short, no? Long answer pa rin siya. Pero you have to supply pa rin, no? The objective nga lang siya. Meaning to say, when you say objective, there's only one definite answer. Kasi when you say subjective, kagaya na lang ng essay, there is no one definite answer. You can, no, the answer may be in many forms, no, napaka-wide. Kasi di ba essay type, kapag essay, it's a matter of how well you explain, no? Walang, in essays, sometimes, oftentimes, there's no right or wrong. It's how you justify. Do you get me? No? The answer is almost unlimited. But when you see objective, it's always definite. One correct answer. So problem solving is objective type of test. Okay? Minsan din si problem solving nilalagay sa multiple choice, di ba? When we had our kapag may math test tayo, minsan in the form of multiple choice, and you have to solve the problem and then nasa option yung answer. Okay? Item 142. In order to find out where students were weakest, Teacher Nori gave another test. No? All right. What kind of test is this? So some answered C, some answered D. Okay. All right. So majority answered C, no? Okay, may parang dalawa at tatlong answered B. Bakit? Okay. Okay. We have to eliminate aptitude and readiness, of course, kasi medyo malayo siya. Pero sabi kasi to determine the weakest. Okay. So pwedeng remedial, no? So ang pinaka feasible or plausible items here would be remedial test and diagnostic test. Okay. But the correct answer is diagnostic test. Bakit? Jasmine, you're right. No, weakest po adiodato. All right, because of the word weakest. Diagnostic test is always strengths and weaknesses. Okay? Saan ba yan? No? Kasi may mentioning of weaknesses. All right. Now, what about remedial? Bakit hindi remedial? Is there such a thing as remedial test? Okay. This is what you need to understand. In education setting, we don't normally say remedial test, but there is remedial class, di ba? When, according to M.Ed, no, order number 8, series of 2015, nasabi doon sa K-12 assessment, students who failed in a subject, no, halimbawa may 1 or 2 subjects na failed, the child is required to attend remedial class. No, that is to make up for any deficiencies in his learning such that he failed in the regular school year. No? So, magre-remedial Ano siya? Class during summer. Tama? Hmm. So, yan yung remedial class. Okay? To remediate, to intervene, to fill in the problematic learning gap. Okay? So, siguro, medyo mahina yung kanyang foundation on this one. Medyo advanced pa to sa kanya or medyo na-miss niya tong lesson na to, mga lower level lessons. No? So, kailangan niya mag-remedial para makaka-catch up. Okay? Remedial class po yan. Remedial test is not oftenly used, but then when it's used, it usually means make-up test. Okay? So when you say remedial test, usually we refer to make-up exam, make-up test. Kung yung bata halimbawa absent, okay, so we give remedial test or hindi kaya failed, no? Failed siya pero gusto mo siyang bigyan ng chance. So you give remedial test, no, second chance siya. But it's not really to determine kung ano yung weak sa kanya, which is the function of diagnostic test. Alright? Oh, tama ka, Janine. Failed in 3 learning areas, bagsak na talaga, wala nang remedial. No? Retain in the same grade level. So pagdating ng next school year, balik ulit siya sa grade level. No? Hindi siya ma-promote sa next level. Okay? Meron pa bang mga chat? Check ko muna, ha? Alright. Glad to help. Okay. Wala pa. Sige. So, any questions? Klaro po ba yan? Kung anong ibig sabihin ng remedial test at diagnostic test? Hope you're also taking down notes. Hep, hep. Okay po. Sabi ni Ella, yes po. Or hooray, sabi ni Regine. Wow. Okay. At last, nakita ko rin si Regine Juan dito. Hooray. Okay. Sige. 143 na po tayo. This is 7 no, to the last. This is the basis for normative ranking. A, high marks of few students. B, failure of some students. C, normal curve of student distribution. Or letter D, student achievement relative to other students. Raven answered D. Mayan, Ezra, Nessie, Mersh said no as answer D. Okay. Now, to be honest, ito yung pinaka-hate kong tanong. Why? Because there are 2 correct answers here. Dash, yes. There are actually 2 correct answers. But then usually in the board exam, when they make tests, I'm talking about the thought processes of those who are making the test. No? Usually, they're not just aware, no? Pero when they make the test, it's always intended na isa lang talaga yung answer. Yung isang answer, isa lang talaga yung answer, no? Or only one option among the 4 options is the correct answer. Okay? Yan talaga yung intention, no? Minsan na-miss out nila yan, so hindi nila alam na dalawa pala. Pero in their mind, isa lang talaga, no? So, if we try to parang go into the minds of mga test makers dyan sa PRC, most likely, yung pinaka-obvious, no? Pinaka-straightforward, D would be the correct answer. D. But I tell you, letter C is also correct. Remember, when I discuss about normative assessment, normative ranking, normative test is also known as grading on the curve. You look at how the students are performing in the distribution, no? Grading on the curve. No, we look at students' performance. When you say grading on the curve, normative grading, how the students are performing with reference to the distribution, to the curve. Ayan. So letter C and D are both correct answers. But bell shape, yes, Wendell, no, bell shape. No, so, di ba? Remember, grading on the curve is normative grading or norm reference grading. No? So always remember that. Now, so basically the correct answer is both C and D. But if we are to anticipate how PRC test makers, develop test items and provide answer key, most likely letter D would be their choice. Okay, so for the sake of that, our final answer would be letter D. Why? Because it is the most direct, straightforward. No? Comparing student achievement relative to other students. No? Normative po yan. No? Comparing students' performance against the standards or criteria of your friends. No? So simple. No? But we know that C is also normative. Okay? So yun po. No, I hope that is clear to you. Do you get me? Hello? Do you get me? Yes po. All right. Sige. Even if you try to search, di ba, normative assessment, normative grading, tapos sa Wikipedia, for example, Wikipedia, makikita talaga doon na normative grading, also known as grading on the curve. No, may mga ganyang storya. No? So that will tell us that it's really grading on the curve. No? It's following the normal distribution, the normal curve. Okay. So I think naipakita ko na po to. Let's proceed to 144. When students clarify information from the conclusion, they are using this cognitive domain. A, synthesis. B, evaluation. C, analysis. D, application. No? So ano pong sagot natin dito? Alright, analysis daw. Okay, letter C. Okay, so I believe na medyo easy din to, no? Correct, the answer is analysis. Bakit? Because you cannot clarify, alright, information. So halimbawa, may papel, tapos halimbawa research paper, no, tapos may conclusion. While you're reading the conclusion in that research paper, no, uy, ba't parang mali itong information niya, no? I would like to clarify this. Ayan, what then are you doing? Saan level ka sa Bloom's? No? You're actually doing analysis. No, what is analysis? Remember, analysis is when you analyze, you break down information into, no, so you're looking at sentence by sentence, looking at the details, the information, at nakita mo yung medyo questionable information, may maling info, and you want to clarify that, no, in the paragraph. So you're doing analysis. So basically, the correct answer is letter C, analysis, no, because you are analyzing, looking at small details in a given paragraph, in that conclusion. Okay, klaro po ba yan? Do you have follow-up? Oh, okay, so I believe no follow-up question. How about item 145? This indicates a strong negative correlation. A, negative 0.75. B, negative 15. C, negative 10.10. D, negative 0.25. All right, Tilene answered letter A. All right, some answered letter C. Okay. All right, then letter D. So, okay. Now, we all know na lahat sila negative. So, wala tayong ma-eliminate right away kasi may negative values. No? All of them are negative values. And yun yung clue natin na medyo negative correlation siya. Ang tanong, how do we know kung strong siya, weak, or moderate? Kasi sa STEM, ang hinahanap natin ay yung strong. Parang copy ko black. Strong negative correlation ang hinahanap natin. Hindi weak, hindi moderate, hindi mild. Alright? So, ano? Okay, so sabi ni Regine, C daw. Oh. Ba't nagbago yung mga sagot? Actually, the answer is letter A. No, tama. No, tama generally. No? Medyo na, ano na kayo, no? Medyo nalito kayo. Kasi baka akala nyo, no, the lower the values, the stronger is the correlation is. No? Baka ganyan yung thinking nyo. Hindi. The greater the values, the stronger. So, ganun pa lang. No? Easy lang to remember. No? Again, the stronger, in terms of correlation, the stronger, the greater the value, the stronger the relationship. Okay? So, kuha ko na naman ito sa ating lecture. Measure of relationship. So when you say describe the degree of relationship, or you're talking about the correlation, no, between two variables. Halimbawa, ano ba yung correlation between academic achievement at motivation? No? Kung mataas yung motivation, mataas ba yung kanyang academic performance? Ganyan. It is expressed in terms of coefficient. No? like numbers -1 to 0 to +1, no? Kapag +1, perfect positive correlation. Kapag -1, perfect negative correlation. Kapag 0, no correlation at all. And these are the two common measures. Either you use Pearson R or Spearman-Raw. No? So, kapag normal yung distribution ng mga nakuhang halimbawa data, so you use Pearson R. At marami-rami you use Pearson R. Pero kapag konti lang tapos hindi normal yung distribution, you use Spearman-Raw. No, ganun yan, no? Ganun yung design. Pero anyway, both of them, Spearman-Raw and Pearson R, will give us this size of correlation. Ganyan talaga yung mga values niya. Either, no? 0.9 to 1, 0.7 to 0.9, 0.5 to 0.7, 0.3 to 0.5, 0 to 0.3. At then yung negative counterparts. Alright? Kapag 0.9 siya to 1, ibig sabihin niya very high. Kapag negative naman yung value, very high negative correlation. Okay? Kapag 0.7 to 0.9 na range, high positive correlation. Pero kung negative counterpart niya, high negative correlation. Kapag nasa gitna, no, 0.5 to 0.7, okay? Jenny, okay. Ano daw yung answer key ng 144? No, pakisagot po. Again, ha? 0.9 to 0.1, very high. 0.7 to 0.9. Pero kapag ano siya, 0.5 to 0.7, mid na siya, no? Moderate. 0.3 to 0.5, low na siya. Pero kapag 0 to 0.3, negligible or weak or no correlation. Very weak or no correlation at all. Now, saan ba si ano ba yung nasa 0.75. Ayan. So, hinahanap natin yung pinaka-strong, no? So copy ko black. Okay. So, pinaka-strong of all the options, si 0.75, no? At tama nga naman kasi high positive or high negative correlation, ibig sabihin, strong negative correlation po yan. No? So, yung other options, 0.1, ibig sabihin, negligible correlation siya. 0.25, ibig sabihin, negligible pa rin. Ano pa ba? Negligible. 0.15, negligible din. No? So, B, C, and D are all negligible correlation or weak, very, very weak correlation. Si 0.75 lang yung strong. Gets na po, sir. All right. Very good, Sherman. 146. If two variables were to be related graphically, you want to correlate two variables, what are you going to use? Histogram, normal curve, frequency polygon, or scatter diagram? Okay. Anyone? Hello? Okay. Ano po yung sagot natin? 146. Okay. Ba't walang sumagot? D. All right. A. All right. The answer is letter D. Scatter diagram. Okay. Bakit? Always remember that scatter diagram, or also known as scatter plots, are used to plot data on a horizontal, vertical, okay, in the attempt to show how much one variable is related to another variable. If you want to find out the relationship between two variables, the best way to see the relationship, no, is to plot them using scatter plot, all right, or scatter diagram. Now, if you can see here, right, so kung ganito yung temperature, all right, today, magkano kaya yung sales? So nakita nila na the hotter the temperature, the greater the sales. Siguro ice cream itong product nila, no, na kung mainit, sobrang init ng panahon, tataas din yung kanilang sales. No, ice cream siguro ito, or halo-halo, or ano kaya, shaved ice, mga ganyan, no? So ganyan po, no? Kaya yung sagot natin is scatter diagram, no? Easy lang po, no? Don't forget that. Next question. Ito na, no? Discrimination index na naman. Yan. A negative discrimination index means A, the test item has low reliability. B, more from the lower group answered the test item correctly. Right? Somebody answered C and D. More from the upper answered the test correctly. D, the test could not discriminate between the upper and the lower group. Okay. So Nina answered B, Kristen answered D, right? Others also answered letter C. But then the correct answer is letter B. No? Kapag negative discrimination, ibig sabihin it failed to discriminate correctly. Again, ha? It failed to discriminate correctly. Kaya negative. Okay. As much as possible, what we want to achieve is positive discrimination. Meaning to say, it succeeded in discriminating correctly. Ano ba dinidiscriminate natin? Ibig sabihin, we want yung mga upper group, yung mga matatalino, to get the correct answer, while yung mga hindi matatalino, yung nasa lower group, they will not be able to get the correct answer. Okay, ganun yan, no? Kasi, it only means na okay pala yung exam, no? Yung mga matatalino nakukuha nila. Kasi magiging questionable yan kapag wala ni isa sa matatalino ang nakakuha, tapos lahat ng mga lower group ay tama yung sagot nila. No? Di ba magiging questionable yung item? Oh, paano nangyari yan ng mga matatalino hindi man lang nakakuha ng tamang sagot? No? Ayan. So yan po yung discrimination. So, the formula for discrimination index is upper group minus lower group divided by the number of students per group. No? So, halimbawa, 27. So, 27 minus, okay. So, 27%, no? Okay. So, upper group who got the correct answer minus lower group who got the correct answer divided by the total of number of students in a group, no, per group. Okay, so yun lang po. Yan po yung formula. Now, kapag ganito po yung result, okay, below 0.1, ganyan, questionable item, no? Reject, poor item siya, no? 0.11 to 0.2, poor item, reject or revise. Moderately discriminating, needs revision. 0.31, discriminating, reasonably good. 0.41 and above, very discriminating, very good item, retain. Okay, so ito yung ibig sabihin, no? Types of discrimination index. Positive discrimination index, when more students from the upper group got the item correctly than in the lower group. Again, ha? When you say upper group, yung mga matatalino, yung lower group, nasa bottom. Okay? Negative discrimination index, which is yung tinatanong, when more students from the lower group got the item correctly than the upper group. Zero naman discrimination index when the number of students from the upper and the lower group are equal. Alright? Pero ideally, ang dapat nating ma-achieve is to get a positive discrimination index results. Okay? Klaro po ba yan? Okay. Saglit lang, I'll charge my laptop for a while. Okay. So, balik po tayo. So, again, ha? The correct answer there is letter negative discrimination is more from the lower group answered the test item correctly compared to the upper group. And then, all right, 148. This refers to the deviation from a standard or desired level of performance. A problem, a deficit, a defect, a gap. Letter D, sabi ni Dwight. Seth, D, Angelita, D dash. Okay, so I think this is easy. The answer is letter D, gap. Okay? But just for you to know, ano yung naging basis natin, sabi ni edglossary.org. Generally speaking, learning gap or gap refers to the relative performance of individual students, okay, Example, the disparity between what the student has learned as compared to what he is expected to learn. Ayan. So, andyan po, no? From what he can do versus what he is able to do versus what he is expected to do, or the desired level of performance. No? So, yan po si learning gap. Then, meron din achievement gap, opportunity gap, but then, ibang ano din to, no? Say, opportunity gap, kung equal ba yung distribution of resources, educational resources and opportunities. When say achievement gap, whether equitable ba or equal din yung distribution ng level of achievement ng mga bata, no? Or ganit sa region na to, marami bang mga kulelat, sa region na to, mas maraming pasado, no? Ganyan, no? It talks about achievement gap. Okay. Now, don't worry, I'll be giving you copy of my PowerPoint. No? Okay. 149. If scores are extremely high and low, this measure of central tendency will be most reliable. A, cannot be identified unless individual scores are given. B, median. C, mode. D, mean. Ano pong sagot natin? O, nag-thank you na sila. O, wag muna kayong mag-thank you, hindi pa tayo tapos, ha? Alright, B daw. Wow, galing naman, no? B, median. Okay. Well, the correct answer is letter B, no? Again, ha? Dapat gamitin yung utak. Minsan kasi napapagod na sa pag-answer ng exam. So, ano ba yung pinakamahabang option? Yun na yung sagot, no? So, please, as much as possible, always analyze the question. No? Read talaga yung question. Tapos look for the correct answer. Ha? Huwag maging tamad. Alright? Do your part. Okay. So, B, no? Kasi, bakit B? If scores are extremely high and low, kapag may high and low daw, ito na yung gagamitin natin. Median. O, kasi kung mean, kulay lang tayo dyan, no? Mahirap na, no? Hindi na magiging tama yung decision natin, yung interpretation natin. Okay? So, galing po ito sa MET Reviewer 2021, yung the better normal edition natin. All right? Page 455. No, tingnan niyo po ito doon. So sabi dito sa mean, okay? Mean is affected by extreme scores. Meaning to say, kapag may extreme scores, huwag ka nang gumamit ng mean kasi it will affect the result, no? Magiging mali-mali na yung interpretation natin. Median, on the other hand, is not affected by extreme scores, no? Kasi you're just looking at the gitna. All right? So, better si median kapag may mga extreme scores. May sobrang taas ng score, may sobrang baba na score, no? So, you better use median, huwag gumamit ng mean because it will only give us erroneous interpretation or results. Okay? Now, bakit hindi mode? Okay. Mode is only used or applicable or meaningful kapag yung data is nominal or categorical. Ano category? Ano siya? Halimbawa, colors. So, halimbawa, ano yung pinaka-favorite colors ng mga bata? So, yellow, 3, blue, 10, red, 7, green, 1. So, ayan. If that is the case, hindi po pwedeng mean or median. No, it will not be meaningful. No, kasi it's not, the value is not numbers, numerical. Kundi, the value are names, objects, di ba? It's ano siya, no? Categories or names, nominal siya. No? So, dyan na tayo gagamit ng mode. Do you get me? We only use mode if the options, the values are in nominal form, no, names, ganyan. Pero kapag numbers yung data natin, alright, pwede na mean or median. Kapag walang extreme score, you go for mean. Pero kapag may extreme score, you go for median. Ano pa bang pwedeng gagamit, ano pa bang data na pwedeng gamitin yung mode? Gender, di ba? Male, female lang. So, mode ang gamitin natin. Hindi applicable si mean or median. Hindi po pwedeng yung result mo, ang gender is 1.5. No? Anong ibig sabihin ng 1.5 na gender? No? So, it will not make sense. No, I hope that's clear. No? Finally, no, ito na po yung last item. Okay. Now, okay, so I think everyone is already giving their email ad. Please message Miss Clarissa. All right. So I will not be the one to send, but Miss Clarissa, if well, thank you for the clarification about that. So yes, you're welcome, Jasmine. So forgive me, you're too many no, for me to send the PowerPoint one by one, huh? So it will be Miss Clarissa na to ano ba tawag dyan, blast blast the email, okay? Copy of this PowerPoint. Okay? Sige. Balik tayo. Teacher Juan saw that a student got an 80% percentile score. How should this... Anong sagot po dito? 80% percentile. B. Alright. So, same lang din, no? Same lang din kanina. The answer is D. Higher than 80%. When you say percentile score or percentile rank of 80, it only means that you got higher than the 80% of those who took the test. 80% of the population of those who took the test. Okay? So that's the end. Thank you so much.